You seem cool.
Michael, you seem cool. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. How
Oh,
are you today?
I'm great. I am great. So your content caught my eye. I'm a movie guy. I love movies. Okay.
Mhm.
So my feed on TikTok, it gets flooded with your props to history.
Hey there, TikTok. Props to history here to talk to you about a can of shaving cream, or actually, an embryo storage device from Jurassic Park, the very first one. You recall that this is the device that Dennis Nedry uses to try to steal all the embryos and ends up getting eaten in a Jeep. That's not a model or green screen. That is a 744-foot-long set of the Titanic that was designed to sink and raise as needed for the film. Things like the Spaceballs, the lunchbox, were just a real-world object that they pulled off a shelf and put stickers on. In this case, that's a Transformers lunchbox. The Spaceballs, the breakfast cereal, was Raisin Bran, with just stickers covering certain things.
You are like the movie prop version of like an evil genius, and I mean that in the nicest way. Like the persona you have, like it seems like you literally know everything about everything, but I don't know how or why you do. You make them, you buy them, you sell. I don't know much, so I wanted to get on this. You seem
Right.
cool here to get to the bottom of things. To be honest, Michael.
I'm very good at research, is what it comes down to. I'm very good at research. I have a lot of connections in that world, and I have a really good memory.
Do you work in props for
I do.
movies, or are you? Is this a fan thing?
It started as a fan thing. I
Okay.
was just a hobbyist who really liked the history of movie props. Within the last probably 3 years, I didn't really build props at all. I was a model maker from the time I was a kid. And I started to kind of dabble in cosplay a little bit. And a
Mhm.
friend of mine who owned Clydesdales asked me to make a costume for one of her horses. So I did. And I made an AT-AT from Star Wars for a 2,000-pound Clydesdale. And it ended up all over the internet. It went very viral. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of like the attention. So I started posting more of my work online, and a friend of mine 6 months ago said, "You should post your stuff on TikTok." And I didn't know anything about TikTok at the time, but the first video I did was actually about that Book of the Dead right there from the Mummy, and it went viral. It exploded, and then 6 months later, I'm at 250,000 followers, and
It's great.
I'm in talks with a production company for a television show based on this.
That's awesome. It's awesome.
I was just on the news. I'm about to have a sit down with a senator. It's yeah.
Look
There's
at you.
no movie industry in Indiana
Mhm.
because we don't have the tax incentives like a lot of states do. So we're
Right.
trying to get that try to fix that so that there can be a film industry here.
Got it.
And I'm trying to work with Senator Bush to try to get that legislation.
I mean,
in
you
place.
love movies so much, but you can't work at home. You gotta get them in your home state.
Well, and it's weird too. Like because of TikTok, I've met a ton of people in the industry, and like Prop Store, the massive prop auction
Yep.
house, they sponsor my podcast, the Prop History Podcast. I have total access to everything that they do, so I can go and film hands-on with like Indiana Jones's hat
So
and
cool.
actual screen use lightsabers from Episode 3 that I've held, in my hand.
Really.
Freddy's glove from Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and all because of TikTok. And I'm about to go out to LA at the end of this month to do the exact same thing again. And
Isn't that insane that can make that happen? So that's so great that you put that content out there, because I realize on TikTok or any social media, people either come to be mindless entertainment or actually learn something. And I
Right.
think you click the second box,
Right.
where you are able, but it's about a subject that people are like interested in. Like everybody loves movies, like most people love movies, right?
Yeah.
And if you start talking about one movie that people like and give some information, you go down a rabbit hole so easily.
My favorite messages that I get are, "I saw this video, and then I've spent the last 9 hours watching your videos," because I have, I think, 1,400 videos I've made in 6 months now. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of content for people to watch.
Who gave you the nickname Props to History, Michael? Did you make that
My
up?
wife,
Your
actually.
wife.
That was her idea, because I was talking about when I was first getting on social media, when I started using Instagram. I said, what should I call this? Because I had a shop. I didn't really, I had a name for it, but it wasn't one I liked. And she says, "You just gonna what is it about?" And she said, and I told her, and she said, "Well, like you're gonna talk like go from like talking about props to history," and I was like, "Winner."
Props to history. There you go. What movie would you say that people, if something that pops in your mind and you're like, oh, you have to see this movie?
I just did this video series on my top 10 favorite movies, and my favorite movie of all time is A la Triste, which is Viggo Mortensen. It's a Spanish language film. It is, in my opinion, one of the best movies ever made. And I always tell people A la Triste or The Fifth Element, because that's my guilty pleasure.
That's your guilty pleasure movie.
Nice. Yeah, I will sit down and watch that movie when it comes on, no matter what. I absolutely love it.
For sure. Yeah, there are some that just stop you dead in your tracks. Mine is like for some odd reason, it's the movie 2012. That's not right. And then also the original Independence Day, but you can't fault me for that, I don't think. Also, one that I'll only admit to you, and I might edit this out, but it's Made in Manhattan, the J-Lo movie. It's one of my wife's favorites. And she's like always
I've
on.
not seen it, so I can't speak on that.
Okay, well, it's a must see. You got to see it. But
okay.
It's one of those movies that I know like she has to like cheer herself up. So if it's in the recently viewed queue on like Netflix or something, I'm like, oh, something's going on. I got to talk to her. I like asking this question to people who are fellow movie lovers. Mm-hmm. If you could have a sit down fantasy lunch or dinner with it's you and three movie characters, who's at that table with you?
Oh goodness, Gandalf.
Starting off right away, top dog with Gandalf.
Okay. I feel like that would be an absolutely wonderful conversation to have. Oh man. 3 movie characters to sit down and have lunch with.
Yeah, 2 left. You and Gandalf walk into like the Panera Bread.
Panera. That sounds right. That seems like a good idea. Fozzie Bear.
Yes, best Muppet. Great.
My favorite Muppet of all time is Fozzie Bear.
For sure.
And,
me too.
I feel like to add to that conversation, to just round it out, probably Terry, Jim O'Here's character Terry from Parks and Rec, or Ruby Rod from The Fifth Element, just to add an air of excitement to it.
You got to have a little bit of excitement. You just the right sprinkle. The conversations between Gandalf and Ruby
would be amazing. That would be worth the cost of admission.
That's a movie in itself. It's a movie in itself.
Right?
So you have your cool prop room, right? That's one of your things.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting in it actually.
Yes, it's great. What's the number of props in there ish?
About 300, more or less.
About 300.
About 300 props total. This is about a half of my collection.
You have your prop room, and that's like the trophy case. And then what do you have? Like the prop attic, and that's the stuff that is kind of cool, but I just have it.
I have a couple of sheds that I keep most of the rest of them in storage bins. Mm-hmm. But in this building that I'm in right now, off to my right is actually my 3D printer room. Mm-hmm. And then behind that is my actual shop where I do my builds, because this is my shop where I'm at right now.
Okay.
I really don't have a whole lot of movie props on display at the house.
Okay.
Because it's not because my wife doesn't like them. My wife loves it. She's not as obsessive about it as I am, but she appreciates them for what they are. But I want to keep working home separate now, since this is my job.
Got it.
So I want to be able to go home and just be at home and not have work with me.
Not be looking at like a wrench and being like, oh, I got to make that thing.
Yeah, I don't need that.
I got to make these machetes.
Remove the body parts from the living room.
Is there a prop that you haven't gotten to see or get to yet? That's like your golden goose. You want to.
It's the 4 stones from The Fifth Element.
So the Fifth Element is a cornerstone of you.
That is all Fifth Element right there.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, next to the Witch King of Angmar.
Okay.
They were the first props that I ever wanted to build, and I've built like 12 sets of them at this point, trying to make them as perfect as possible, which is impossible. And because they change scene to scene, so they're constantly fluctuating. But there's only one known set to survive, and they're owned by the director Luc Besson, and they're in his home in France. And I don't know Luc Besson, and I'm not in France, so the likelihood
two strikes.
The likelihood is I'm never going to see them. But
do you speak French? Do you speak French?
I do not.
You gotta get up on that Rosetta Stone. That's number one, because if he calls you. You won't even be able to ask him.
This is right. I'm not sure how conducive he would be to having a stranger walk into his house to look at some rocks.
You never know.
Yeah, he might be about it. You never know.
You might have him on display out front. You can peek through like a window.
That's right. That's not creepy at all. Perfect.
No, it's fine. I'm sure he's fine with it. Just go to his house. I have his address. I'll send it to you after. It's fine. For me, I think like one of the coolest things I think from growing up, I was like, I don't even know what they called it, but you probably will know, from Krull, that dagger boomerang.
The glaive.
Yes.
The glaive. Yep.
I remember what made me remember to be like, that's a prop, like what made the connection in my younger mind. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I knew it wasn't a real weapon, but I knew it was like the movie weapon. And I was like, that's a cool thing. So, yeah.
So within my own personal rankings, that thing ranks as like the second stupidest weapon in any movie. But I absolutely love it. Don't get me wrong. Just because I say it's dumb doesn't mean I hate it. I absolutely love it. And there are 2 of them that still survive from the movie. And one of them is actually owned by the guy who now owns the rights to the soundtrack for Krull.
Really? Is he French? Is he French or is he American?
No, he lives here in the States.
Oh, okay.
But I believe he lives in Nevada. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I've not been able to get into contact with him or anything. But there's a guy that I work with regularly who's making really high-end replicas of them. And when he's done, I will own one.
Yeah.
The dumbest weapon, by the way, is the 3-bladed sword from Sword and Sorcerer. Do you remember that?
No,
I
don't.
It had 3 blades side by side and had to have weighed 1,000 tons, but it could shoot 2 of the blades out somehow. And it was just pure insanity. And I absolutely hate it, but love it at the same time.
Yeah. What about those stupid, you know what I always thought was stupid and I thought I could get away from? Like there are some great horror movie, right? You know, you've got the classics.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The machetes, you got the Freddy Krueger glove. And then from Phantasm, they had the murder balls. That would just haunt you, right? I feel like you're just like, get away.
Yes. Yeah. No way.
It's stupid.
Yeah, and there's a ton of those still left too. And I get asked about them all the time. But I think they're just ridiculous. The whole concept behind Phantasm is just so weird to me.
There's a lot of fake information out there too, right? So you do a lot of research. So where do you go? Like, what's your go-to places to find out the real deal?
One of the places that I tend to fall back on if I can't find it anywhere else is either people I know in the industry that have, a lot of times I will go directly to people that worked on the film if available. If not, there's places like the Replica Prop Forum that I'll go to that you can find bits and pieces of information. And every now and again, you really just get lucky that that movie and that prop had an article written on it at some point.
Oh, gotcha.
And you can just find an interview with the prop master or the director or someone who actually talks about it. And if it's like post 1990, there were a lot of the making of movies made. So you can kind of fall back on those too. But a lot of times I will send messages directly to the filmmakers. And I did probably about 60% of the time I'll get a response.
Oh, wow.
So
I think the takeaway from this whole conversation we've had is that you're a phenomenal stalker. You're very good at stalking.
Very good at stalking people, but politely.
Yeah, you're a very polite stalker.
Right,
nice.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I was correct. You are cool. I appreciate that. You seem cool. It was really great to talk to you and learn. And I look forward to your series. I love movies and I love learning about them. And I find you to be a very reputable source that puts out some fun content in a fun way. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
If you need to take French, if you need any help with a French home invasion, I'm your guy.
Yeah. You're okay. Deal.